What makes a piece of media stick with you even after you're done consuming it? We all have something like that in our lives, like a nostalgic show from our childhood. Every so often we'll encounter art that just sticks. Sometimes it's explainable. Maybe the characters in the show are relatable, or a story teaches you something that you hold dearly for the rest of your life. Sometimes it's more ethereal, just its presence is something that sticks in your heart for some odd reason. For me, in this particular anime, it was a mix of both. I remember scrolling through YouTube while still in my freshman year of high school, and stumbling across an edit of an anime. I had no idea what the name was, but just from the thumbnail alone, its art style intrigued me. Upon opening it, I was greeted with the deep, soothing beats of lo-fi pop, with visuals bursting with so much life and color. Simply on a visual basis, I fell in love with what I was looking at. The character designs and the world were built from such simple pieces and yet moved and emoted in such fantastical ways. Something about it was just fascinating. It was love at first sight. And the description of the video was the title of the anime. The Tatami Galaxy. Now there was a name to this thing that was plastered to my heart. Later, a new anime was released called Devilman Crybaby. I ended up watching it because something about this animation and art style was so familiar. An anime so filled with emotion and power, I was enamored. Who made this? It was directed by the legend Masaaki Yuasa. Yuasa is known for a lot of well-known anime, Devilman Crybaby, Ping Pong, Mind Game, just to name a few. And of course, he directed the titular Tatami Galaxy. Yuasa's style is distinct, with characters often going off-model, morphing into whatever shape best fits the mood of the scene, not caring for consistency. It's messy and chaotic and yet readable and energetic, unlike anything else I'd ever seen. With Crybaby, I fell on Yuasa's work, but the Tatami Galaxy was still on my summitless watch list. It was something I told myself I would get to eventually, and eventually that usually doesn't come for most of us. And then, the biggest event that ever hit my generation happened. The COVID lockdown.
Another day of fast-moving developments in this coronavirus
We will
emergency.
be denying entry to Canada.
Considering any travel restrictions within
The breaking news, stay at home. That is the order tonight from 4 state governors.
In my junior year of high school, I was stuck in my house, looking at a Google Meet for 8 hours a day. And for the first time, I had time to start my watch list. I had time to watch the anime that will change your life.
Saving face, keep it in wads under the mattress. Like keeping plastic on the sofa, this besides for status. Maintain a loose grip on what the plain truth is. I feign innocent, but I'm self-involved and ruthless.
Starting the Tatami Galaxy, I had no idea what I was getting into. I knew it was going to be good. It was made by Yuasa. I love Yuasa. But other than the edit I had seen a couple years ago, I was going in blind. And, well, it's quite this series to go into blind.
高野川と鴨川に挟まれた三角地帯に位置する下鴨神社。京都に由緒正しき神社は山ほどあれど、中でも下鴨神社は平安以前から存在する屈指の大神社である。
That's the opening scene. And that's around the speed of the dialogue for most of the series. This lightning speed narration is thrown at you throughout most of the episodes, sometimes making it hard to comprehend what you just read. And yes, and I said read, because unfortunately, if you don't understand Japanese, there aren't any dub options for watching the show. This narration from our protagonist can be exhausting at first, having information being shoved down our throats every 5 seconds. But it's something I beg of you to try and overcome, because what lies on the other side is one of the greatest stories ever written, in my opinion. And as you progress through the series, it's something you get used to, and it does eventually slow down. But what is the Tatami Galaxy actually about? The Tatami Galaxy is about a young man who's just entered college. Not having done much in high school, he wants to start anew in college. This is a pretty universal feeling about college. Moving to any new place is like starting a blank slate. We always have that feeling that this is where we can restart and do better. And our protagonist feels no different. In college, things will be different than high school. No more lounging around doing nothing. It's time for the infinite possibilities that were promised to us by college. And what better way to do that than joining a club? It's a place to meet new friends, new potential love interests. Quickly, his plans for a rose-colored campus life are shattered. Turns out, talking to new people is actually kind of hard. And when joining a club like the tennis club, you kind of have to, know how to play tennis. So unfortunately for our protagonist, he watches as his first 2 years of college slip by him as others enter social circles while he is left alone. The only person he's actually gotten to know is the eccentric student, Ozu. Now he spends his college days being dragged into Ozu's pranks. The most recent one being the one where they launch fireworks at people. This guy is insane. And our protagonist is pretty bummed out about how his college experience has been going. He's got a crush on a girl, but he doesn't have the courage to ask her out. He's only got one friend who's psychotic. And in the face of all his misery, he questions if things would be different if he hadn't joined the tennis club. With that, we are taken to a clock tower and see its hands spinning backwards. From here, most of the episodes follow the same formula. The protagonist joins a new club in hopes for his rose-colored campus life, is disappointed when he inevitably fails, and then time rewinds once again. And when I watched the first 2 episodes during lockdown, I was scared. I was scared the series wasn't for me. The story that just seemed to repeat itself every episode, I felt exhausted, which hurt. But I wasn't going to back down. With only 11 episodes, I decided I would push through and watch the entire series. And thank God I did. With each episode following the same basic formula and then resetting everything at the end, it can at first feel like as if nothing was gained. But as the protagonist picks a different path at the beginning of college, it takes him on a winding adventure where we get to see new characters and learn more about them. And sometimes we'll get to see old characters from previous episodes from a new perspective, revealing a more complex character, a character who is living and breathing. And we get to see more of our protagonist. Despite all this narration coming at us about everything that's happened, our protagonist isn't really much different from everyone else. He believes he's this amazing, confident main character of his own life, but in reality, he's just someone who's chasing after an unattainable desire, so focused on year-long schemes to get everything done perfectly. And while the series itself, while it does tackle serious themes, make sure to have fun. It's goofy, and its art style and animation help sell this point. There's a cowboy who represents the protagonist's sexual desire. It's his penis, his Johnson. Its name is Johnny. Get it? You get the point. The series can delve into the dramatic, but is also able not to take itself too seriously. So even though time is reset at the end of each episode, we still manage to learn more about these characters as we progress through the series. And the constant repeating of this cycle adds to the stagnation of our protagonist's life, without creating an experience that is boring. I think this stagnation is something that almost everyone can relate to, especially within the COVID lockdown. I was stuck in my room, stressing about college applications and getting homework done before 11:59. Every day was just waking up and doing the same thing over and over again. I think I really did pick the perfect time to watch this series. At the time, I felt so lost. The inevitable end of high school was coming. I felt like I hadn't really done much of my life. These feelings I had were mirrored within the protagonist's life. This is especially true for me now, having started my own first year of college. Growing up, college is always the end goal that you're told about. You're always asked about what college you want to go to and what you want to major in. From stories from older generations and films on TV that depict college life, we get a sense of what college is supposed to be like. It's supposed to be a freeing new beginning, a place where you'll become an adult, meet the love of your life, and live the best moments of your life. That's what college is often described as. But when you get there, sometimes, if not all the time, all those expectations aren't usually met. And that's because life isn't perfect. It isn't a movie where everything happens for a reason. College is simply just another part of life. There is no rose-colored campus life. But that doesn't mean that what you're experiencing now is bad. Sometimes we can lose sight of what is right in front of us, taking for granted of what we have. Sure, the journey the protagonist took didn't follow all that he wanted, but what he had was something amazing. He managed to meet people around him and become a part of their lives, no matter how small that group of people may be. The Tatami Galaxy ending wraps up the series perfectly, bringing every episode together, a perfect conclusion to the story and themes that it presents. Now, will this series change your life? I don't know, it's different for everyone. I lied in the title, shocker. But I think this series has something that everyone should check out. Whether your college experience was good or bad, or whether you're not even in college anymore or you haven't even started it yet, it's still something that can show you something. The protagonist acts as a stand-in for ourselves. He quite literally has no name, simply being credited as Watashi, meaning I in Japanese. I remember immediately after I finished the series, I tried to collect my thoughts about it, and I realized I couldn't even remember the name of the protagonist. At first, I thought he had just slipped my mind, but when I learned of his namelessness, I also realized that his growth was also my growth. No matter where you are in life, these feelings of not having reached the perfect life, not picking the perfect path are in all of us. We all have doubts and anxieties of the future, and life is just random sometimes, but we shouldn't sit in our rooms trying to avoid mistakes or worrying about a supposed perfect life that we could have had. We have to run forward and learn to love our lives and live.